And so, my dear ones, welcome into the sanctuary. It is so good to be with you on this splendid day, as is every day, once we know it. And we continue in our understanding of our great teaching from the perspective of science of mind and spirit, from the metaphysical realm, of course, because most of the week we're hanging out there in the exterior realm and in the marketplace, so to speak, and mostly probably coming from our conscious mind, our rational mind, our egoic mind, and endeavoring to maneuver everything along those grounds. And hopefully for most of us, we are delving in and out too of that inner intuitive, beautiful mind that has all the answers to all our questions and can take us wherever we want to be and causes every good thing to happen that we would desire. So today we're doing what we've been doing for a while now, looking at everything from the perspective of love, stewardship from the perspective of love. Stewardship seems like maybe an old-fashioned word to some people. It just means responsibility really. And we are reminded, because we are interconnected with everything, and we're so much more than just ourselves or whatever it is we think we are. We're so much more than all of that. And in that interconnection, of course, we're responsible for not only our own lives, but for all of life. And we have the care of ourselves and the care of all of life. And the whole basis of it all is set in love. But not love the way the world generally knows it, but beyond that. We're talking about a cosmic love, a spiritual love, a love beyond the human reasoning can take us. And so we're all trying to find out what that is, all of us. There's not one person on the planet that has really cracked the code for full understanding of that, but we're all endeavoring to go there. That's where we're all endeavoring to go, where we think we have never gone before, but indeed it's from where we came. It's from where we came. It's who and what we are, and it is what we'll always be in, and it is what we always will be. This thing called love, which is life in expression, and in expression by bringing itself and giving itself in service to love, as love, because of love, and no other reason. That's all. Whoever thought that were all these great love vortices of energy? That's what we all are, was, will, and always will be. A vortex of pure love's energy. And you and I want to tap into that more and more and more. And when Ernest Holmes says there is a power for good in the universe greater than you are and you can use it, which we hear all the time, he's talking about the one power. And that one power is what? Love. Love. But cosmic love, spiritual love, love beyond anything you and I could ever imagine, but by Jiminy Crickets, we're having a good time getting there, trying to imagine it and trying to figure it out. It's a conundrum. It's a big Zen koan. And we're doing it. We're doing it. We're just peeling away that onion. And we'll not be stopped until we get to the core. And we will get to the core sooner or later. And remember, we have all the time in eternity. And you know how long that is. So we can crawl along like caterpillars for as long as we so desire before we lift up into the skies and soar. Or we can decide, enough of the caterpillar now, I want to fly. It's up to you, it's up to me. But love is the way, the vehicle, the how of it all. And as our wonderful Dr. Ernest Holmes reminds us, love is supreme and it is to be honored. It is to be honored and understood as that which is supreme. So, he says himself, he says, you know, here's the thing that we have to get very clearly. If we can just, he says, come into cooperation with the eternality of love, of wisdom, of peace, of joy, believing and receiving, then we shall be greatly blessed, and our prayers will be answered before they're even uttered. That's what the man himself says. And that is true, but don't take his word for it or anybody else's. Test it out. That's all this is. It's a laboratory, and we get to test everything out and see for ourselves. So, as Emmett Fox says very simply, there is nothing enough love cannot heal. Nothing enough love cannot take care of. So we're called to that, because it is who and what we are in essence. Love, 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 and nothing less than that. Now, we may live loveless lives, or so we think. We may be very, scrimpy on this thing called love or whatever. But nevertheless, we can try and hide it, but in the end it will out. And why not now? As John Kennedy said once upon a time, if not we, who? If not now, when? And so this is the when of it all, is it not? And when you go to the teaching, it's so enriching. Just one line can keep you going forever, it seems to me. And I pick up the book, and it's like sometimes this is a new idea that I missed the first time I read this book, or the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time, and so on. It's so fresh, and it's so vibrant, and it's so new. And it's not because it is, it's just because you're coming with a new awareness to it, that's all. But in his wonderful, wonderful writings, he reminds us in The Supremacy of Love that the greatest practitioners are the best ones to get the job done. He says, to be a great practitioner, you must first become a great lover. Only great lovers get to be great practitioners. He says, you've got to love yourself and you've got to love people if you want to truly be able to do as he said we can do. He said, we believe in the healing of the sick and in the control of conditions. That's what he said in his Declaration of Principles way back in 1927, when it first appeared in the first issue of the Science of Mind magazine. We believe in the healing of the sick and in the control of conditions. And as he says, when we do believe, before we ask, we receive. And so this is the option to you and to me that's given to us today to look at and to see where we are with it and what it is that we're doing. I have a treat in store for us today. How many of you have actually heard, how many who have not ever heard Dr. Ernest Holmes' voice? You're going to hear it now. So, from wherever the good doctor is, here's his message. Just close your eyes and listen, because it's a recorded message, and it's on love.
As I said earlier, there is a power...
You need to hire it, dear.
...that you can use. You use this power through affirmative prayer. Prayer is your direct line of communion with God. It is through affirmative prayer that you clear the mind of negative thoughts, of doubts and fears. And this we must do if we are to be aware of the presence of God within and around us. Let us then take this thought as our prayer for today. If we love one another, God dwells in us, and his love is perfected in us. Let us join in affirming God's presence here and now. Let us shut every other thought out of the mind as we listen confidently, peacefully, and quietly.
We'd like to listen confidently, peacefully, and quietly to what comes next.
I believe that God is love. I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of my life. I permit love to reach out from me to everyone I meet. I believe that love is returned to me from every person I meet. I trust the guidance of love, because I believe it is the power of good in the universe. I feel that love is flowing out through me to heal every situation I meet, to help everyone I contact. Love opens the door before me, makes perfect and plain and straight and glad my way. Love forgives everything. Love purifies everything. Love converts everything commonplace into that which is wonderful. Love converts weakness into strength, fear into faith. Love is the all-conquering power of spirit. As a child walks in confidence with its parent, so I walk in confidence with life. As a child trusts its parent, so I put my whole trust in that love which I feel to be everywhere present, within, around, and through me. Within, around, and through all people.
There's a...
Well, that was the good Dr. Ernest himself doing an affirmative treatment on love. And so those are the principles contained within his prayer. And as he says, it is the prayer coming from that one power in you, declaring the word of truth in your life and in all life. And it's very interesting. Now, Einstein and Ernest knew each other. They chatted. And I came across this saying of Einstein, and I giggled because it's just pure science of mind last night. He said, I hang out in that kind of company, you know. He said this, and it was great. He said, within us is the sacred, intuitive gift. And he says, the rational mind is its obedient servant. And then he says, we have created a world that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Now, in other words, we're hanging out too much in our conscious mind. We're just too mental about everything. We're too into the cold plateau of logic and reason, and if it doesn't make sense to me, then it doesn't make sense kind of thing. And he says, much to the detriment of not hanging out within the intuitive mind, the inner mind, wherein all wisdom resides, and you and I get all of our answers and guidance and handle business, truly and really. And that is an amazing thing for you and for me to wake up and remember. And ask ourselves throughout the day, am I just going mental here with it all? Am I just being mental with it all? Is there another way of seeing this or perceiving this or being with this? Because as sure as God made little apples, very often that mental mind can, bring us into an amazing labyrinth out of which it's very hard to find a way. However, because why? Because we're churning and we're efforting and we're endeavoring and we're trying all the time to figure something out. And the good doctor says, if you're efforting, you're not going about it the right way. There is no efforting in God, in the divine, in cosmic intelligence. There's no efforting at all. There's just knowing, and there it is. And he also says to us, we really need to get an understanding of what it is to pray without ceasing, pray without ceasing, pray without ceasing. He said all that means is to be affirmative throughout the day, to stay in affirmation throughout your day. Be affirmative. Be on the bright side, the positive side, the affirmative side of life. Be quick to go there rather than over here, where we're negating everything. And he said, that's what it means to pray without ceasing. And he said, all you have to know to handle things and to really accomplish the prayer before it's even uttered, he says, just know that the only thing within me is God. The only thing within me is God. The only thing within me is God. Say it. The only thing within me is God. Now say it like you believe it.
The only thing within me.
Yeah. Again.
The only thing within me is God.
Yes. Do you feel the energy of that? Do you feel the energy when you really declare it? It's different to saying the only thing within me is God. There's not much energy in that. But when you say the only thing within me is God, there's a whoosh of energy. You gotta say it like you know it and mean it. And he said that's all it takes. So if that is the case, then the other stuff must dissipate itself, because it doesn't belong where God is, because where God is, I am, and where I am, God is. And stop all the mental nonsense, all those conundrums and so on and so forth that just lead you up the Airy Mountains and down the Rushy Glen, and you're still not going where you want to go. But however, the Rushy Mountains and glens and all of that can be interesting along the way, but they're only a distraction. God is, I am, and that's that. That should do it. That should do it. If you and I really believed, he said, the fear has to go. The anxiety has to go. We have to stop being so darn, his wonderful word, morbid about everything. Look up the word morbid in the dictionary. You'll find many descriptions. See which one jumps out at you and grabs you. And that's the way we are. I mean, most people, when you're in conversation with them, are going to negate one way or another. See if you can have a conversation with anyone without a negation in it. Just test it out. Test it out. And you, please, do not be the one who begins the negation. You're supposed to be the witness and the observer now. This is an experiment. And then the charge is, where you find the negation, turn it into the bright side of life. Turn it around. Turn it around. Tell the truth to it. Bring the truth to it, you see. We can't just go along with it. Don't you get sick and tired of going along with? I know I do. I mean, I'm talking about myself too, going along with this, that, and the other, not just everybody else, but going along myself with stuff when I don't have to go along with stuff. So let's be awake and let's be alert, because that's what you're here to be. That's what you're here to be. And he says, to awaken is an evolutionary process. Do we understand evolutionary process? It means it doesn't happen overnight. Now, even if it happened overnight, you see, it didn't happen overnight, because eons ago you were doing your preparation for this instant happening to occur. And anybody will tell you no such thing as an overnight sensation. There's a whole lot goes into that. It's an evolutionary thing. It evolves. It evolves. It evolves. It gathers momentum. It gathers momentum. You create the nucleus of power, and you start the attraction into that, the good that you desire, by every good thought you're thinking, by the way you support the idea, by the way you're creating a space for it to come in, by the way you know it's going to happen. Then it spins and it spins until it spins to such a degree that it attracts like into the vortex, and there it is in your life. There's your demonstration. But you have to fan the flames of that fire that you have lit by feeding it with the knowing, with the feeling, with the belief, with the no doubt about it attitude. Because as soon as a doubt enters in, you better start all over again. You've just negated the whole thing, and so have I. There is a power for good in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it. Everything is based on that. And the power is life, and the power is light, and the power is love, and you are a vortex of its energy. You are. No one else, you. Oh, it doesn't matter what you've been thinking and feeling and expressing and experiencing until now. That's all nonsense. The truth is you're a vortex of power. You're a vortex of energy. That power, that energy is life, it's light, it's love. And you can spin that any way you want to. Now, here's the thing. The challenge comes in, why aren't we doing better when we know all of this? It's because we refuse to be the outlet to the inlet of all of that amazing grace power. We just let it be sucked up in us and we don't spin it out. It's not a good way to be because it pressures us. It's like being over pregnant. Any woman will tell you 9 months is far more than, in fact, 8 would be enough. But, you know, to be 10 months pregnant, oh my God, they would cringe at that idea. And we are over pregnant with the power and the presence of the One. So if you want to get off your spiritual derriere, and if you want to get up and get at it, you can. And this could be the day, or this could be the week, or you could still crawl along like a caterpillar. Any one of us could do that. Some of us might like the view from the caterpillar's perspective and settle for that and be okay with that, but we don't have to. So it's going to be, it's up to you and it's up to me. So remembering that right where you are standing or sitting on holy ground. And the reason why you're standing and sitting on holy ground is because you are holy. And you are the point of power through which the infinite expresses itself and could do with all of its radiant magnificence if you and I would just get up out of our inertia and decide to fly on the wings of love. There's a song about that, many of them. But you could do it, and so could I. And can you imagine if all of us were doing this together in this community, we could indeed change the whole world. There's no doubt about it, because one vortex of energy is awesomely powerful. If you combine all of those energies, it would be an enormously incredible experience that not only you would feel, this community would feel, but the whole world would feel it. And since we have a greater understanding of quantum physics, we are told now that a butterfly down in the southern hemisphere flapping its wings can affect a storm in the northern hemisphere, because everything affects everything. Everything affects everything. I affect everything. You affect everything. Let's affect it with the infection of love itself. And let us be all that we can be, because honest to Pete, we are it, whether we realize it or not. So let's just be open to the idea that I am love incarnate. I am the incarnate word of love. That's what I am. That's what you are. And if you and I know it, we'll be able to help others to know it too. And that is why we are here. And love will do the deed always, as the poet says, and I often say, because with love, stony hearts will bleed. Let's have our own hearts bleeding first before we think about anyone else's. Bleeding with that power and that energy of the life-giving force of love itself, because that's what you are, and so it is.